Welcome to our second segment of the Smart Business Entrepreneurship Conference. I would like to welcome our next guest, Mr. James Harper of Inspiro, a transformational coaching company, and they're here to share a wealth of information on personal development, motivation, and health and wellness. Mr. Harper, welcome.
Hi, Karen. I'm glad to be here. Thank you so much.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. So tell us a little bit about Inspiro.
Well, I'll tell you how I reached here. Well, I'm what you call a journeyman
Right.
in a way. So when I actually began as a chef,
Wow,
right?
Okay.
20 years ago. That's a
Yes.
long time ago,
Yes,
right?
yes.
I graduated with my
Well,
associates.
you started in primary school. I want to know. So tell me.
Right? But 20 years ago, I graduated from the Trinidad and Tobago Hospitality and Tourism Institute with
Wow.
my associate's degree in culinary management.
Excellent, excellent.
Did the chef thing for a little while, and I
Right.
realized that the industry, I just wanted more.
Okay.
So I went back to school.
All right.
In 2009, I graduated from the University of the West Indies with my bachelor's in nutrition and dietetics.
Excellent, excellent.
And from there, I was a diet technician,
Right.
a nutritionist,
Wow.
a nutrition teacher,
Okay.
well, lecturer actually,
Excellent.
a health educator with the Ministry of Health,
Okay.
a diabetes educator because I realized diabetes just keep coming up over and over.
Right.
And in 2023, I've realized that dealing in the health sector, I realized there was so much more than the kitchen and the nutrition and the plate and the gym.
Right.
I realized there was so much more to offer. Like
Okay.
people, they were struggling with life problems.
Right.
So I decided to go into life transformational coaching.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. I mean, that is a wealth of experience, a lot of knowledge, and practical, in terms of that career journey. I mean, that is so our conversations, I'm sure, could go on for the whole day.
Yeah.
All right. But in the interest of time, I would like to sort of break down those experiences from the launching of the Inspiro platform. All right. From the personal development side, can you share with our audience, how important is that in today's dynamic workforce, business world, etc.?
Well, to tell you the truth, Inspiro came about because I got fired from my job in 2020. Well, late
Wow.
2019, early 2020, due
Right.
to the COVID pandemic.
Okay. Understood.
And I told myself that I was never ever going to be put in a box again.
Okay.
So that's why Inspiro. And Inspiro
Right.
is it's actually Inspiro Wellness too, but
Right.
I cut it down to Inspiro because Inspiro means to inspire in
Right.
Latin.
Okay.
The importance of this platform is to let people, especially from the Caribbean and the Caribbean diaspora, that there are people like us, right, who are trying to make a difference. I've realized that when it comes to life, a lot of people, they have a lot of issues. Whether it's stagnation, burnout, all these other things. And what Inspiro is there for is to cultivate a paradigm of change, of personal development.
Excellent. When you speak on personal development, I remember the days when I would have done network marketing, the Zango, the Herbalife, Organo Gold, so many different things, right? Some people may have their thoughts on it in whatever way, but one of the things that I would have learned from those platforms was the personal development side of things that you could take in almost any sector.
Yeah.
So in terms of the education, how would you compare someone being fully academic, studying, and comparing that personal development or even fusing it? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I believe that you can have all your passes, all your scholastic, as we like to say, accomplishments,
Right.
and yet still be in one place. I believe that personal development enhances your scholastic experience because
Right.
there are a lot of people out there who have degrees, but yet they're still stuck in a rut.
Right.
And a lot of people who does not have that experience or that academic background, and yet they're highly successful in life.
Right.
And the reason why is that because they develop themselves to become better.
Right.
So personal development, I believe, it's kind of different in a way, because when you're dealing with something academic, you're dealing with the actual subject. By personal development, you're enhancing yourself, whether it's physically, emotionally, mentally, you know. And the thing about personal development, it can help you develop as a better person, it can help you develop as a better professional, but it also enhances leadership. You know,
Excellent.
to lead yourself, to
Excellent.
lead, you know, to lead other people.
Excellent. Excellent. And in terms of the life transformation, how would you tie that into the personal development?
Well, when it comes to life transformation, I've realized this, that when you change on the inside, a lot of things, your life changes on the outside.
Right.
The change that you're looking for, that people are looking for, it has to start from within,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So that life transformation begins with personal development.
Okay. Okay. And seeing what is going on in the world, seeing what's going on in our very own home of Trinidad and Tobago, I mean, there's a statement or an analogy, the sinking ship, you know. So one side of the country could have all the wealth, right? A percentage, and you know, in whatever way, whatever advantage, in whatever way, right?
Yeah.
And other persons, due to lack of knowledge, confidence, you know, personal development, certain issues that may have put them at a disadvantage. But we're all on the same ship.
Correct.
So if one aspect of the ship, if there's a hole, you know, and one part of the ship is leaking, no matter how much you may think you're succeeding on one side, sooner or later, we're all going down.
Going down. Correct.
We're all going down. So what are your thoughts on that personal development, life transformation in terms of turning things around? Is this something that could happen overnight? Is this something that we have to look at, and this is what our kids would have to, you know, carry that mantle? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you're absolutely correct about the sinking ship, especially in Trinidad and Tobago. And as you said, you rightfully said that one side of the ship might be good, but eventually all the water will go in. I believe that we have a culture of mediocrity. And because of that mediocrity, we are not living to our full potential. Right? What we have to start, you know, our generation, you and I, we have to start leading people and mentoring people and training people to become better versions of themselves, especially the younger ones. We have to be the people or the generation to pick up the pieces, while our children will have to be the generation to glue it back together. But that's not going to happen overnight, because it's a paradigm. And what Trinidad and Tobago has to undergo is a paradigm shift. I believe one of the greatest failures of this life is not living up to your full potential. And I believe that Trinidad and Tobago, we are a twin island that does not live up to our full potential. We have so much great things going on, and so much people who are trying to do great things. But because of the environment, because of the nature of the people, and sometimes the lack of not lack of resources, but sometimes lack of support. Right? And not fostering a proper environment for growth, we'll feel stagnant. So, in other words, it will take time and a lot of effort. But we can get there one day. We can patch that side of the ship. It's just going to take a lot of moving and shaking from us, and to time for people to acknowledge change.
How would you tie in, let's say, NGOs, companies with, you know, different foundations? We have so many organizations, NGOs, foundations. We have religious organizations, churches. I mean, we got a lot of people with a lot of moral, you know, spiritual guidelines and, code of life, right? For want of a better word. In terms of impact, obviously I believe there would be room for dialogue and having conversations with different groups to make these sort of life transformational nationwide, right? What are your thoughts on some of these institutions and the work that they have done and the impact? That's what is going on in society now.
Hands down, I believe that these non-governmental organizations and religious institutions are trying their best.
Right.
But they can't move forward without the right support.
Right.
They need some sort of support, whether it's from corporate Trinidad, whether it's from a financial institute, or just people to
Right.
come and spread the message.
Okay.
But no successful business owner organization has ever done it on its own. It needs the
Right.
most important resource, and that's people.
People.
And it
Also.
needs the right people.
Okay.
It also needs guidance and leadership also. Sometimes because they might have the right intent,
Right.
but they might not have the right leadership to steer the actual ship on the right directions. So because you can have the best intent in the world, but if you don't have the right leadership to move forward, then there will be no progress.
Okay. That's an amazing point. So, we spoke personal development, transformation, life transformation, health and wellness. You spoke on nutrition, the whole diabetes consultation. I think we ranked one of the highest in, I think, prostate cancer for men. There's so much going on.
Right.
How would you tie in that health and wellness factor to the life transformation, and from a personal side and a business side?
Well, personally, I have seen the benefits of having better health,
Right.
physically, mentally, and emotionally. Because when we think about health, we always think about things like physical health.
Right.
Without a healthy body, without healthy emotions, and without a good mental health, your life will not move forward.
Right.
Right? Physically, a person who is extra productive or who is thriving in life, more than likely, physically, they're doing well, physically, but also they're doing well emotionally and mentally.
Right.
It ties in a lot into life transformation, because without a healthy mind, right, without a healthy body,
Right.
without a healthy spirit, even though you might be making the money and succeeding, you won't feel fulfillment. You won't feel
Right.
happiness.
Wow.
Your relationship with others won't thrive. Your relationship, most of all, with yourself,
Right.
right? You'll be struggling,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
And one of the things that people think that success is all about monetary and stuff like that.
Right.
It's not only about that.
Okay.
It's about how you feel on the inside, the impact that you leave in other people's lives, especially like, if you have a family or children or whatever,
Right.
you want them to say, Daddy was always a good person and he was always, you want to be
Right.
that safe space for people.
Right. Okay.
And what having all those facets like physical, mental, and emotional health, because we have to speak about emotional health.
Right.
A lot of people, and this is something I just want to tie in here, if you're not emotionally healthy, then you won't be mentally healthy,
Right. Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So if you don't have that in your life, then how can you be purposeful? How can you be
Okay.
fulfilled?
So, James, let me ask you something. As you mentioned that emotional aspect, as we touch on life, personal, but we live in a an interconnected society. We have relationships, families, courting, dating, the whole dating marketplace in terms of our parents' time, where we would court, I guess. I would like to believe so. I wasn't there. Right? So there's the courting, right? And or the dating first, right?
Right.
Get to know, and I guess courting is something more commitment. Hey, we're in a committed thing, which would not lead to marriage, right? It could be argued that the current relational dynamic for relationships may not be the same as it was years past. Good or bad, I'm not here to judge, right?
Yeah.
What I'm saying is it's different. And the expectations, whether, man, woman, relation, whatever, right, in terms of adjusting to this change, managing expectations, because we have seen cases where a relationship may not go as planned and somebody's windscreen get bust.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We see somebody lying in a bar, somebody running a fight in a bar, somebody whatever.
Yeah.
So there's the whole Caribbean, aspect of relationships, the dynamics. So can you share with our audience, how do you suggest from an emotional standpoint, how would you deal with the relationships caught in from an emotional standpoint in today's world?
Okay, that's a great question. You have to understand that everybody, number one, you have to set a standard for yourself.
Right.
That's the first thing what you need to do.
Right.
You need to, sometimes in life, we always don't know what we want, but we should definitely know what we do not want.
Right.
Right? As when we're looking at, let's say, partners.
Right.
Also, too, you said something that's very, that light a spark. Manage expectations.
Right.
Because of what society views as normal now wasn't normal in your parents' days, right? So things have changed. And of course, as you say, I'm not here to judge. But what you should always have is a moral and ethical standard.
Right.
And always try to keep up to it. And try your best not to be too distracted by the noise of social media and also television and cable and stuff like that. We live in a very fragile society where when you try to do what you consider is right, morally and ethically, you're considered to be chastised for it.
Right.
And sometimes when you stand for something, sometimes you have to stand alone. Even if it comes to what you believe for yourself.
Okay.
So when it comes to relationships, yes, one is having a standard for yourself.
Right.
And two will be not listening to the noise of social media and also your peers and stuff like that. And three, setting that standard. You know, you knowing what you want and definitely knowing what you don't want.
What you don't want.
What you don't want in a relationship. You know, and knowing when you see certain red flags, take yourself out of it. Because people now they're not as understanding, and they don't really they're not aware because of all the noise that's happening. And last but not least, you need to be introspective. Right? Being introspective. And that's going inside yourself, knowing what are your flaws, knowing, how can I work on it, how can I better myself? Because you know that, no one's perfect. But what you don't want is that you are the person holding you back from a fulfilling relationship with somebody.
Understood. And what would you say for the young lady or young man getting into school, work, managing those relationships and the focus that, and let's deal with the young men for now.
Young men,
for now, right? I think from your perspective. Because sometimes a lot of men get involved in relationships too early. They may, some people may argue, beg to differ. My personal view is that as a young man, your focus should be developing your skill set, right? Saving, working, whether part-time, while you learn your trade, right? Or your part-time studies, whatnot. But you manage your finances. You build your finances. You work on your body. You spend time reading, you're learning.
Correct.
And you find a way to fall in love with yourself.
Correct.
Right?
Correct. I love that.
Because if you cannot love yourself, how could you love another?
Correct.
And it's another thing. So tell me, what are your thoughts for the young man today in terms of, how best he should manage his time, relationships, and focusing on his goals?
That is a great question. So as a young man, what you have to realize, men, and this is just something, you have to be a high value man. Right? And a high value man is somebody not only contributes financially, but can contribute socially, emotionally, intellectually to a situation. And what you are, you attract.
Okay.
Right? Like attracts like.
Okay.
Right? Iron sharpens iron. Right. So I absolutely agree with you as a young man who's now coming out of school. I'm not saying not to enjoy yourself and not to enjoy your life. Right. But what you should be doing is developing yourself. Okay. Learning to grow, be comfortable in your skin, learning to love yourself, being around the right people. Right. I was speaking to my wife the other day, and she said how a parent came up to her and said that, just talking about the liming trap. Right. I mean, I like to lime, I like, I like to go out, I like to have fun.
And have a good time.
I like to have fun. But at the same time, what you don't want to be is too caught up in that type of life, that life is going ahead and you're staying in one place. Right. And that happens a lot to young men, especially, when they're in the courting zone, trying to find a mate.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you have to understand that once you develop yourself, I'm not saying to be stiff and cold, right? But once you develop yourself in a certain way, attracting, and you won't find the right person one time, but you realize that with time, you'll attract the right person to you, because what you're doing, what you're exuding, what you're giving off, is
what you would attract.
Correct.
Okay.
Right? Well, what you will attract. So, develop yourself and learn to love yourself first.
Right. Okay.
Because there are a lot of men out there, they don't love themselves. Right? And hence it will show towards their partners, and you don't want that to happen.
Right. And I guess they would be searching for love in all the wrong places.
Correct.
All right.
Correct.
Give or take. In closing, I'm hoping that you could share a word of inspiration, a word of motivation in terms of Inspiro as a platform for life transformation, change. Can you share with our audience, some closing words of inspiration?
Okay, so what I like to say is that, first of all, when it comes to inspiration and motivation, these things can be short-lived, right? A lot of people, even though we say we're inspirational speakers and motivational speakers, these things are short-lived. The life that you're looking for is inside of you, but you just have to muster the courage to do it. And what it takes is time, it takes some effort, it also takes some self-discipline, but self-discipline doing the right thing. Because you could be self-disciplined doing the wrong thing. At one point in time, I was struggling with my weight, and I was self-disciplined, but I was self-disciplined doing the right thing. But it's about learning from your failures, and knowing that every failure that happens is a stepping stone towards your accomplishment.
Excellent.
And it's not only about reaching your goals, it's about becoming the person that you want to become in the process. The process is just as important, whether it's entrepreneurship, self-development, losing weight, whatever your health. The process is just as important as the goal. And learning from you and doing the right thing.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, you just have to understand that you will grow. Everything around you will grow once you start growing on the inside.
Excellent, 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 excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. James Harper, Inspiro.